What's the most wrong thing your kid ever got punished for? I sent my son to book club to learn, but he got kicked out for correcting a quote. And the worst part was that he was right. It started with our local public library, and every Tuesday they held a kids book club in the back room. And my son Alex, who is 10, is obsessed with scientists, but his favorite's always been Einstein. So when the librarian wrapped up story time by telling the kids everyone is a genius, but if they judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And said Einstein's wrote it, but I knew Alex would say something. He raised his hand and told her gently he didn't think Einstein actually said that because he read that it's an internet quote, and the room went awkwardly quiet. But the librarian gave a tight smile and told him that's what it said online, and let's not argue during story time. So Alex nodded and didn't argue, but the next week he brought a book, one of his favorite biographies, and showed her the part that proved the quote wasn't real, and that's when it happened. The librarian pulled him aside after the session and told him he was being disrespectful and that it was rude to correct adults in front of the group, and said he had disrupted the learning environment and told him not to come back until he could learn how to listen without correcting, and he came home crushed. Because this wasn't just a book club for him, this was his special place, where he escapes from feeling weird at school for being the nerd kid, and now it was gone. At first I assumed it was a misunderstanding, so I emailed the librarian politely, just trying to clarify, and explained that Alex wasn't trying to challenge her authority, he was just sharing what he read. But she replied with one line saying he embarrassed her in front of the kids. She didn't apologize or even try to fix it, and I wanted to get mad and call a meeting, but instead I called someone else, an old friend of mine from college who now teaches history at a university across the state and specializes in the origin of famous quotes, and she was perfect for Alex. And when I told her what happened, she didn't hesitate. And the next week, we walked into the library together, right as the new kids workshop was starting, and the librarian looked surprised when she saw me, and even more when my friend introduced herself as Dr. Joanna Levy, professor of historical studies, visiting just to give a quick talk about famous quotes and where they actually come from. The librarian mumbled something about not being prepared, but the room was already filled with kids, and she couldn't exactly turn a professor away in front of a group of 9-year-olds. So Dr. Levy took a seat and started talking. She showed papers and opened books and shared examples of quotes we all know, but never questioned, like, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," which wasn't actually Gandhi, and "Let them eat cake" was never said by Marie Antoinette. And then she brought up the big one. Everyone is a genius, but if they judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And said Albert Einstein never said this because it wasn't in his letters, interviews, or books, but came from internet culture and got stuck. Alex's eyes lit up and the kids were fascinated, and one even asked where it came from. So she explained how it first appeared in a school book in the early 2000s and got linked to Einstein because he sounds wise. And another kid asked if the quote is bad, and she told them it's a good message, but it's important to give the right credit and be okay with being wrong. The librarian sat still and didn't say much, but that night I got an email, and it said Alex was welcome back at the book club. And not only that, but they were inviting him to help start a new bulletin board in the hallway. Each quote had a card with the wrong story on one side and the real source if there was one on the other. And at the bottom, in small neat writing, was a note saying it was inspired by a kid who showed that truth matters, even when it's hard.